That's for the moment. Many thanks for joining me. Congress leader and member of Parliament Rahul Gandhi hit out at the Narendra Modi government, accusing it of weakening India. Rahul Gandhi claimed India had never been this vulnerable. The BJP hit right back, accusing Rahul Gandhi of using fake news as a domestic political tool, insisting this was a new low even by Rahul Gandhi's standards. Our political bureau brings you this report.
Border politics has escalated once again. Congress MP Rahul Gandhi and other Congress MPs staged a walkout of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Defence, demanding a discussion on Doklam and other border issues. But the chair did not accept his demand. The meeting was to discuss cantonment boards. Rahul Gandhi wanted the meeting to reconvene and discuss the border issues, but that too was denied. This comes right after Rahul Gandhi hit out at the central government over reports of a fresh clash between Indian and Chinese forces at the LACs. Rahul Gandhi took to Twitter and slammed the Modi government, saying that the centre is using foreign and defence policy as a domestic political tool to weaken the country. This is not the first time Congress MP has questioned the centre's strategy in Ladakh. Rahul Gandhi has tweeted more than 10 times over the last 1 year and described the centre's actions as cowardly along the LAC. The BJP hit back at Rahul Gandhi. BJP IT cell head Amit Malviya took to Twitter to say using fake news, which has been rebutted by the Indian Army as a domestic political tool, is a new low, even by Rahul Gandhi's low standards.
Media reports of China building infrastructure along LAC is a disturbing and a worrying development, hurting India's national security interest. For the past 1 year, BJP has played a game of hide and seek with the people of India by keeping the entire nation in dark with regards to China's misadventures.
सत्ता का सुख भोगने के लिए गांधी परिवार के राहुल गांधी कुछ भी कर सकते हैं और ये रिपोर्ट पूरी तरह से गलत है, इसके तथ्य ठीक नहीं है और भारत की सेना ने भी इसका खंडन किया हुआ है.
The BJP also accused Rahul Gandhi of compromising India's national security. The Indian Army too released a statement denying any attempt by either side to occupy the areas where disengagement has been undertaken. The Army said reports of fresh clashes are false and baseless. It also denied any clashes in Galwan or any other area as claimed.
We must believe only when information is put out by the Ministry of Defence or the armed forces. No one else, even an opposition or a ruling party politician statement or any veteran, they do not have the required inputs.
Still, there is a friction, there is a tense until and the Chinese go back to what they were in April 2020. India is putting pressure on China that they must also negotiate and disengage from Gogra, Hot Spring and Depsang.
As soldiers face off in Ladakh battle lines are clearly drawn ahead of the parliament session too.
The issue of eastern Ladakh and the Chinese PLA is back in focus after Rahul Gandhi has tweeted about the issue. Though Indian Army and the government have denied any incident of clash, this is a mark of escalation between the government and the opposition just ahead of the upcoming monsoon session. Whether this will take much of the centre stage is something to be watched out for. With camera person Ashok Bhanot, this is Kamaljeet Sandhu in Delhi for India Today.
Before we come to our political debate, let me also take you to the line of actual control, where China is rapidly building its defenses in Tibet and in Xinjiang. China has appointed a new Western Theatre commander. General Xu Qiling is hailed as a rising star in the People's Liberation Army. Reports indicate that there is rapid development of infrastructure taking place both in Tibet and in Xinjiang. General Xu is the third Western Theatre commander since the India-China standoff started in May 2020. He is also seen as someone who's close to Chinese President Xi Jinping. The question is, are the two out to make a point which could not be made in the past 1 year? The Chinese are furiously building their defenses in Xinjiang and Tibet, opposite eastern Ladakh, deploying additional aircraft, missile batteries, rocket forces and ground troops. All eyes are on Chinese President Xi Jinping's special pick to head the Western Theatre Command, General Xu Qiling. General Xu at 57 was specially handpicked and sent as Ground Forces Commander last year. This is the first indication that he was specially sent to familiarize himself with the lay of the land, deployment, terrain and operations before taking over as the Western Theatre Commander. His predecessor, General Zhao Zurong, spent barely 6 months after having replaced General Zhao Zongqi in December 2020. General Zhao was the Western Theatre Commander when Chinese forces came in large numbers at multiple friction points from the north bank of Pangong Tso to Gogra, Hot Spring and even Daulat Beg Oldi. However, India's quid pro quo operations on the night of September 29, 2020 took the Chinese army completely by surprise. In December 2020, General Zhao had been replaced by General Zurong, again seen as close to Chinese President Xi Jinping. The quid pro quo operations on the south and north bank of Pangong Tso forced the Chinese to withdraw from Finger 4 to Sirijap. The two armies also withdrew from the south bank of the lake. In less than 7 months, the largest theatre command is seeing its third chief in 57-year-old General Xu Qiling, hailed as the rising star in China. General Xu had been a part of the force that was involved in the Tiananmen Square operations to quell the protests in 1989. He is now perhaps one of the youngest generals to be promoted by President Xi Jinping, an advantage in high altitude region. His experience with Air Force also helps in planning multi-dimensional operations better. This perhaps explains the renewed focus on 7 air bases in the region, including Kashgar, Hotan, Nagari Gunsa, Shigatse, Lhasa, Ningchi and Chamdo Pangta.
I think he has realized that the Indian armed forces can't be taken lightly. I mean, you cannot just take the Indian armed forces. Indian armed forces are no longer the armed forces of 1962. This is a strong armed force and it is not a pushover.
Longer runways, additional aprons, hardened shelters, more rocket and missile batteries and unmanned aerial vehicle units have been deployed opposite Ladakh. 2021 remains extremely crucial as General Xu appears to have been handpicked to deliver results that have so far eluded the Chinese forces and leadership. In Delhi, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. So there are fast-paced developments at the diplomatic level, military level and even political level. So let's decode where India stands. Joining me on India First is Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, former Director General Infantry. The General has served extensively in the Fire and Fury Corps. Also with me is Dr. Shama Mohammed. She represents the Congress, and Shazia Ilmi is the spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. And Shazia Ilmi, if I may, Rahul Gandhi has accused the Narendra Modi government of using both defense and foreign policy as a domestic political tool and insists it has weakened our country. Rahul Gandhi says India has never been this vulnerable.
Now, Gaurav, if this is not manipulated media, what else is it? First of all, he bases this tweet on an article written by his courtier and somebody and a journalist who's more like his man Friday, whose credentials have been smashed a long time back, and on which the Indian Army has issued a statement calling his intentions mala fide, and which are totally uncorroborated. They're unsubstantiated whatsoever. And this statement has come from the Indian Army. Despite that, Rahul Gandhi has refused to delete his tweets. Now, as for the media, the publication Business Standard,
Okay, so
tempted as I am
ma'am,
to
so
call it
I will not
BS.
go into that publication or the journalist since he's not here to defend himself.
No.
I would request you to stay on the merits of what Rahul Gandhi has said and what the army
Rahul
has
Gandhi
said.
is quoted. No, it's important to say that, Gaurav, because he has quoted this and this article is in public domain, and because of the article is mentioned in the particular tweet which you are mentioning, and this is the reason why Rahul Gandhi and his MP staged a walkover and tried to change the agenda of the meeting. So this article has to be quoted. It's important that we do that because it's already in the public domain. I don't think we should feel shy of that, and I think we should call the bluff of this fake propaganda at the behest of some agencies, obviously backed by the Chinese, because this has been called baseless and malafide by the Indian army.
Fair
and
enough.
I totally
There's a
disagree with the
grave
package.
charge.
No, let me finish.
There's a
I'm
grave
not
charge
done.
that you level.
Listen, it just takes less than $5 for any publication or in any agency to take out satellite imagery and to verify this. Despite that, this has been done, and this totally compromises the national interest. And Rahul Gandhi, as a responsible member of parliament and an opposition leader, actually tweets on basis of this and calls India a vulnerable.
Okay.
So I think it's a
Dr.
great
Shama
merit that we
Mohammed,
discuss the article
Dr. Shama Mohammed,
and not fight shy of discussing the demerits of the propaganda which is being used.
Okay,
against
you
India.
call it propaganda. Fair enough. Dr. Shama Mohammed,
The Indian Army
BJP
calls it propaganda. No, not me. I'm sorry, Gaurav.
Okay.
I correct you. Indian Army calls this propaganda and
Okay.
baseless and
Okay.
misleading.
Dr. Shama Mohammed, the
not me.
BJP says Rahul Gandhi
I
has
tend
used
to go with the
fake
Indian
news.
Army.
The
You might
BJP
not,
says,
Gaurav Sawant,
ma'am, hold on. Ma'am, you've made your point. Let me bring in Dr. Shama Mohammed. Dr. Mohammed, Rahul Gandhi has used fake news according to the BJP, which has been rebutted by the army. And the BJP says it's a domestic political tool. BJP IT cell chief Amit Malviya says it's a new law, even by Rahul Gandhi's standards, accusing him of compromising national security, ma'am.
Okay, so please, Gaurav Sawant, she has been accusing my leader for many things, and I need to give an answer, so don't interrupt. And please tell the lady also not to interrupt. She has a habit of doing it. Now, a couple of things. This article, let's see, has been written by Colonel Ajay Shukla. Ajay Shukla is not somebody new. He has served in the army. He's been writing on these defense for a long time. So he is not a newbie. Now, my question is that if there is some issue, we've been having things, people saying that this has not happened. Of course, there are the satellite images. My thing is, a couple of points is that one, if there is some issue like this, there is a Standing Committee of Defense and a Defense Consultative Committee. The government of India can take these committees to that place, Ladakh, and show them the truth, because there has been a lot of points in which we hear one thing, then there's a rebuttal, we hear another thing. Now, let's also get to the point of what is happening there. We know that in Galwan Valley, we used to patrol up to PP14. But now, according to our own government, we can't patrol up to PP14 because the PP14 is in the buffer zone, is with the Indian, with the Chinese. And why Nala Junction?
Is it a buffer zone or is it with the Chinese? It can't be both.
Buffer zone. It's with the Chinese. They don't.
You are saying PP14 is with Chinese. That is the Congress Party's official stand.
No, it is not the LAC. The PP14 was the LAC before. After the PP14, we used to patrol up to PP14, and after that was the LAC. Now what has happened? The LAC is in the Vainala Junction, which is in the Indian part of the Indian part. The number 2, Gogra and Hot Springs is with them. Even in the Depsang Plains, they're deep into the Depsang Plains. The other point is Pangong So. We used to patrol up to finger point 8. Now we patrol up to 3, and 3 to 8 has become the buffer zone. These points are there. So all these things is the truth. And he has added that they've come back in this particular article. He's also said that the Kailash range, which we gave up, I've never understood why we gave up such a point, is that we are in it. Now she says that we are the ones, we are completely wrong, everything. Let's not forget, during 2611, who was outside Oberoi giving out
I'll come
all
to
this?
2611 in a moment. Hold on. Again, I did not permit her a monologue. Neither will you be permitted a monologue. Hold on. I'll come back to you. You make your point. You've made some points. There's no point. Hold on. Audio down, please. There is no point. You've made certain points. Let me get General Kulkarni to clarify for the benefit of our viewers. Then we'll come back to the point of 2611 and whatever other point you may choose to make. You've made certain points. No, hold on. Hold on. General Kulkarni, the army says since the February agreement, there has been no attempt by either side to occupy the area where the disengagement has taken place. The army says no clash at Galwan. You heard the Congress party spokesperson, you heard the BJP spokesperson. What is the takeaway on what's happening on ground? The Congress party spokesperson says, why not take the Parliamentary Standing Committee members? Perhaps she wants them to be taken to Galwan or Kailash Hills. I'm not really sure. But why don't you do that if they're fit enough for it?
Gaurav, at the very outset, I must tell you that what the Ministry of Defense has also, the PRO has taken out, the rebuttal to say that the article is riddled with inaccuracies and misinformation, and therefore it is supposedly with malafide intentions. Having said that, let's not, again and again on issues of national security, we must avoid as far as possible to tweet. If we are interested in transforming India into a modern, prosperous and secure nation, there's a need to have a national security strategy which is driven by synchronized, synergized approach rather than doing it like this in the public, first and foremost. Secondly, like the parliamentary panel meets are there, whatever the differences of opinion will be there. There's no problem. Differences of opinion must exist on issues like these. But whenever there's a parliamentary panel meet, I think we must be able to understand the other party's point of view, firstly. Secondly, if you want any clarification, anybody wants any clarification, once you give a notice to say that we seek the following clarification, 1, 2, 3, 4, we will, I'm sure, the parliamentary panel meet will give the clarifications to what. Because otherwise what happens is, most of us, even me, right now, I may have been there the chief of staff, but right now I have no access to what is going on there. So we have to believe to what is being said, and generally, let me be honest about it, absolutely right, there can be nothing that can be hidden. If there were clashes at Galwan, if anything of this kind has happened, it would have been out in the open without any doubt. We should not, I repeat, Gaurav, doubt the MOD. We must not doubt what the army has stated out.
Dr. Shama Mohammed, the general says, had there been clashes in Galwan, it couldn't have been kept a secret. Had Chinese reoccupied the Kailash ranges, it wouldn't have been a secret. Ma'am, once the army has officially issued a statement saying, and I quote, both sides have continued with negotiations to resolve the balance issues and regular patrolling in respective areas continues. The army goes on to say that the turnover of troops continues to be monitored by the Indian Army. Ma'am, does that satisfy the Congress party, an official statement made by the army on record?
So nobody, again, I'm going to say, questions the Indian Army. But I'm saying when there has been a lot of issues with the satellite images, and I've just explained to you where we are, how much of our territory has been occupied. I said, take the standing committee members there. What is wrong? Why can't this government be transparent? Because we all know that Modi himself said on national television, no land has been taken and no military post has been occupied. But you have not, when I've told you something, you said that Rahul Gandhi is politicizing it. But you've not answered when I'm trying to say brutal terror strikes at will. We government unwilling and incapable fight terror, vote BJP. This was when 26/11 happened. Let's not forget this. Isn't this politicizing? You always blame Rahul Gandhi, but didn't the BJP politicize 26/11? That's a national security issue. The BJP, Mr. Modi was standing outside the Oberoi and giving gyan and saying that Mr. Manmohan Singh is having biryani with the
We obviously are moving further ground and changing the topic here.
So
I can see that.
One by one.
Please ask her to keep
One by
quiet.
one by one.
I think it should be fair that now that you're our lady is floundering and skating on thin ice, obviously, because she has been caught.
One by one.
And her leader has been
so
caught,
both of you speaking
lying
simultaneously. My request is one by one. One by one.
Rahul Gandhi wants to know.
I get a chance to.
Okay, Shazia Ilmi, Dr. Shama Mohammed raises the point. Okay, both of you speaking simultaneously does not. You've made your point, Dr. Shama Mohammed, about 26/11. You've made your point about 26/11. Even if you repeat it 4 times, it's not a new point. You've made it. Now let me get Shazia to respond to it.
I'm talking about Galwan. What I'm saying is she's interrupting me. I want to finish my point. What Rahul Gandhi has been saying is tell us the truth. I have told you exactly where they are. They're deep into dead sand. There are armored vehicles. They're building helipads. Now he says there are missiles which can shoot at our aircrafts from 400 kilometers. So for the truth, Gaurav, for the truth, why not take the MPs? Why not
Fair
take
enough.
the standing
Shazia
committee?
Ilmi, now respond. Shama
Fine.
Mohammed, even if you
Answer
say
that.
this another 3 times, it will remain the same point. Shazia Ilmi, Rahul Gandhi wanted to raise the issue in the parliamentary panel, whether it is Doklam or other border issues. Why was that not permitted? That's point 1. Why is the government not sharing information with the opposition? That's point 2. And hold on. Why not take the parliamentary panel, as the Congress party spokesperson says, to Ladakh, whether it's to Doklam or to to Galwan,
surely,
Doklam in the northeast and Galwan in Ladakh.
Surely we can't answer every baffling and amusing observation of Ms. Shama Mohammed, and let's let it be, because it's quite laughable, to say the least. And she knows very well that satellite imagery is never wrong. I mean, she obviously doesn't know enough. So let's not go there and
one by one.
let's not go there and get ahead of ourselves.
One by one.
I don't want to be uncharitable to Ms. Shama Mohammed, and everybody has their limitations. So let's not be too unkind to each other, and I would like to go there. But the point that I wish to make is the reason why I find this extremely offensive and unpardonable is because Rahul Gandhi comments on a piece written which is completely unsubstantiated. Post that there is a very detailed explanation by the Indian Army, not by Bharatiya Janata Party, not by the BJP or Modi ji or any one of us, but by the Indian Army, which explains categorically, unambiguously, that is baseless, is misleading. Neither of the armies have engaged in this kind of a manner, and there has been no skirmish or clash whatsoever in Galwan or any other region. 1. Post which Rahul Gandhi insists on not deleting the tweet, but changing the agenda, which has been preset in the Parliamentary committee. And not just that, when this is not met with, because obviously this is coming from nowhere. So once he makes his man Friday his favorite courtier, who has been caught lying on the file.
Again, I want to stay on the substantive issues and not on individuals. Dr. Shama Mohammed, Dr. Shama Mohammed,
told me not to.
Yes.
So the credibility, why lend credence to a report which is unsubstantiated?
So you say it lacks credibility. Congress says it carries a lot of credibility.
Indian
How
Army
does
says
the
that.
truth emerge?
I'm not saying it. Indian Army says that.
Okay. Dr. Shama Mohammed, Rahul Gandhi has repeatedly raked up the border issue. Is there merit in the BJP saying he's a senior MP, he knows how the parliament functions? Why doesn't he put it in writing so that it can be taken up as an agenda?
How many times have we done? See, why have they not briefed the opposition? 1. They never briefed us on what is happening. They don't tell the country the truth. We know in terms of COVID, the numbers we have seen of the deaths in UP and all the BJP states.
Okay. Ma'am, COVID is not the issue. I will stay on the military issue today. I will stay on the LAC today, please.
It's been exposed by a media organization in France.
Why can't you stick to the context?
I can't understand.
Because obviously you don't have anything to say for yourself or your leader.
One by one.
Who has made a grave mistake and refuses to acknowledge it.
One by one.
And he owes an apology to the country, not to the BJP.
Let me speak. No, what I'm saying is that she's abusing a journalist who is known to be a well-known journalist as a colonel.
Not abusing any journalist. No, he's been
Let me bring in the general for a moment. Hold on. May I request you both to step back a little? Let me bring in the general and only the general for a moment, please. General Kulkarni, you know what India is doing militarily, you know what India is doing diplomatically. But when you look at politics on the subject, sir, we are a democracy. The opposition has a right to ask questions. Should the government, as Dr. Shama Mohammed says, not brief the entire opposition about what's happening along the line of actual control? It may be confidential, but at least brief them.
Gaurav, I have no reason to doubt. I'm sure if the opposition or anybody for that matter were to walk up and ask questions, they would be given answers. There is no doubt on that. A parliamentary panel committee, I have faced myself. I've seen them members from all the parties over there, and they do ask questions, whichever way they wish to. And I had to answer them there. And therefore, I personally find no reason. I doubt anybody in the government today or in the opposition, if they have walked up to the government to ask any question and they would not have been answered. Everything is out. There is nothing. It's a democracy in which you have every right to disagree, but you have every right to even ask questions. But definitely on issues of national security, I would state again, never ever go on public for simple reasons. These are the fault lines which the enemy will always try to exploit, and they will see for themselves that there don't seem to be any unity within the nation. Why not exploit it? And therefore, if you have a doubt, ask questions and get the answers, and give a notice of 14 days. Ask the following question.
Okay.
I'm sure you'll get all the answers to it.
Okay, Shazia Ilmi, why doesn't the government bring in the opposition, brief them about what's happening? Rahul Gandhi raised the issue of Doklam. Brief him about Doklam. If there are issues about Demchok, Depsang, Pengong, so brief them.
Can I come up with a point, please? Can I speak? Because the lady keeps interrupting when I spoke.
One by one.
Just because his man Friday writes an article which is published by the
let's deal with the substantive issue.
Like juvenile, he wants to go and wants to change the agenda. You think this is true?
No, but Rahul Gandhi repeatedly raised
and makes
this.
up a story,
Even before,
by my Indian army, I would like to go and trust the word of my army instead of some leader who behaves like a petulant kid and wants to change the agenda based on a lie.
Done like this. We cannot keep abusing Rahul Gandhi like this.
Okay, Dr. Shama Mohammed,
I'm not abusing him.
Why not seek a briefing? Why not seek a briefing? You know, BJP says Rahul Gandhi is bereft of a moral compass. One by one. Okay, Shazia Ilmi, you've made your point. You've made your point. No, Dr. Shama Mohammed, only Dr. Shama Mohammed. Shazia Ilmi, you've made your point, ma'am.
Gaurav, can you lower her volume, please?
I know, only Shama Mohammed. The BJP says Rahul Gandhi is bereft of a moral compass and is compromising our national security. Why doesn't Rahul Gandhi seek a briefing and get briefed in strict confidence about the situation from Doklam to Depsang?
So why should it be in strict confidence? It should be with all. They should brief There should be an all-party brief on what's happening to our country. This is not Prime Minister Narendra Modi's country alone. It's our country. Every opposition party's country. So why don't they do like when we were?
So you say it should not remain secret.
And also
in case it should not remain confidential is your point.
You really need. I don't know what to say to you. You know.
But let's not forget the Rafale issue.
You really lower all standards of discourse, of national discourse, especially on these matters of defense.
Let Shama Mohammed finish a point. Dr. Shama Mohammed.
This lady is there and she's not letting me talk.
Yeah, please finish your point. Please finish your point, Dr. Shama Mohammed.
No, I need to speak. She keeps interrupting.
Yes, finish your point.
What I'm saying is, in France, Rafale, a media organizations come out with it, and now there's a government investigation on that Rafale deal. Let's look at it. So you can't ridicule journalists, sir. You're yourself a journalist.
Okay.
Let's not look at that. What I'm telling you is Rahul Gandhi has been telling from day one, and I've given you the examples where we are. They're deep into Depsang. You know that.
Again, ma'am, this is the fourth time you're making that point. But when I ask you why should a briefing not be organized, why doesn't Rahul Gandhi seek a briefing? But let me then again ask Jen Kulkarni. Jen Kulkarni, Dr. Shama Mohammed raises the point, why should it be confidential?
Why don't we brief everybody in a standing committee?
Okay.
That's my question.
Fair enough.
Why is it Rahul Gandhi has to ask for a personal brief? What sort of nonsense are you talking?
Dr. Kulkarni, please respond. It's a democracy. It's a democracy. Opposition has a right to ask questions, and in the garb of national security, government cannot hide information.
Gaurav, annual meet that takes place, of which everybody, the members who are there, they have to supposedly give me a 14-day notice. What is a 14-day notice? You just have to be able to tell the chairman over there that, look, I wish to have the answers for the following questions. Would you please organize a brief for me on these issues? I'm sure it'll be organized. But if an agenda is on a
you keep saying that. I'm sorry. I am sure.
Probably
Go on, General. Please finish your point.
Be briefed well. And therefore, it's very essential on issues which are bothering somebody, must come up and say, give a notice to the Parliamentary Panel Committee to say that, look,
it's already done.
Okay. I will let that be the last word on the broadcast, and very clearly, this has also now taken political overtones. Now let's see what happens in the monsoon session of Parliament, and we'll be tracking the story very closely. Dr. Shama Mohammed, Shazia Ilmi and Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, as always, many thanks for joining me. There's breaking news.